Altitude adjustment. Yeah.
Altitude adjustment. Mario Vitanzi, Patrick
You're
Chiotti,
not live.
and
You're not live.
in the middle. If you're sensing a little bit of tension,
Mario,
it's
not
because
live.
Pat has been two-timing myself and the man in the middle here, Chris Harris Jr. We'll get right into that next.
Hey, Bill, I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that's a stick up.
We are joined by future Broncos Ring of Famer Chris Harris Jr. and Patrick Chiotti's favorite co-host, but second best friend. What's up, Strap? What's new with your life, man? You got a lot of time on your hands now that there's no football.
Man, now tomorrow is the first day of school day, so daddy duties, man, getting them ready for the first week of school, and then I'm free, man. You send them off, then you're free. I can do my thing during the day, man. So that's all it is, man. Just training kids. I've been, going back home, working with some kids. Just staying in the game somewhat. Not fully coaching and things like that, but staying around the ball for sure.
Pat said he needs an extra corner on his flag football team, Chris. Do you think you still got that in you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I can definitely still play for sure.
Dog, we need you bad.
I almost feel almost stronger, just getting that rest, I played my last, 3 or 4 years with that Achilles tendon tight. I had like tightness, so bad, that now being retired is finally like gone. I can finally like push
so
off.
Now are you kind of like maybe I got one more in me? I think like the Vince Carter meme, like I think I got one more in me.
Man, it's like, man, now this is how it feels to run with no pain, stop with no pain. So, finally being able to retire, you finally start to feel good. So I'm out here running past all these little boys out here, all these high school kids, man.
So you heard it here first. Chris Harris Jr. contemplating returning to the NFL. Chris, you got something a stream coming up with Aqib Talib. I am so looking forward to that. You guys are fantastic. Aqib's hilarious, and I remember when you guys used to come into the office, it was like a sitcom. So tell us about that, and you do some sort of show with Patrick, I hear. What's that about?
Yes, sir. Yeah, what we have now, it's going to be like the no-fly zone watch. It's kind of like how they have it with the Madden tube, or what they do with the Manning show, right?
Yeah.
And me, Keem, and James Palmer is going to do it, man. We're just going to be talking ball, breaking down the game, breaking down the schemes and things like that, giving it our insight of what we're seeing and how they're trying to approach the game against the Packers. So it's going to be fun. We want to do it, we want to do it all year long, but the NFL, they got so many rules, they be hating, so we got to kind of fix the rules where we can open up the expansion of being able to have our own media. Like, I feel like every team, and, I was talking to Eric about this, like every team should have their own media, right? Mm-hmm. We should have our own Broncos TV, right? Like where you're going to get Broncos TV over here all day. We're breaking down sports. You got the podcast. You got all this stuff going on all day. But, with the NFL, they restrict so much, man. But for what we're doing, I think it's going to be great, man. I hope all the fans are able to tune in. It's going to be fun.
That's going to be so
And I got the Believe Network, with
then we got the Believe.
Well, we're really breaking down. What'd you say?
Real quick, Chris. Well, real quick. Zach wants to know, totally off topic, who would your all-time Broncos secondary be? So I'm just going to pencil in the nickel slot corner, if you don't mind, for you, Chris, if you don't mind. I'm just going to go ahead and put you in there, okay? I think everybody would agree. But why don't you give your top 2 safeties and top 2 boundary corners of Broncos history?
Oh, man, that's tough right there. Because Foles got like 40 picks, right? he got a lot, so it's hard at safety. But corner, of course, I'm going with Champ and Talib. We won a Super Bowl with Talib, and Champ. So those are my guys. So that would be perfect to play me, Champ, and Talib. I mean, I don't see that's going to be nasty. right? Safety. Oh man, safeties is gonna be tough, man, because Atwater's in there because
you
gotta be Atwater.
He's gonna come in there and knock him out, right? And I need somebody that's gonna be in that post that could, that could cover ground. Who would y'all say, man? It's hard to choose on the last one. Who would y'all say?
We'll let you think about it. Maybe we'll circle back, Chris. Like if something pops in your head, you can interrupt what you're doing.
Got a whole bunch of guys
I just want to kick it to you, Chris. First story that comes to your mind. Maybe it's one that you haven't told before that you've made, like you want to get it off your chest, or you think that it's just a really good story that you want to share during your time in Denver.
Oh man, I think y'all pretty much know all the stories. Everything was pretty much wildly public, but just playing there, man, it was definitely fun. But it's definitely a grind, man. So I definitely feel I know what Pat's going on in his head, and Pat's like, hey, if I don't play good, we're gonna lose, right? And that's kind of how my mentality had to be, and it's a lot of pressure with that. So I know what's going through his head. I know how he's trying to get himself prepared mentally. But everything was pretty much open, man. Y'all pretty much know everything. My only beef would probably be signing AJ Bouye. That's probably my only beef that I got. But other than that, everything.
Oh, I know you got beef with Harry Douglas, dog. Don't even cap. You got beef with Harry Douglas.
So just in case someone for some reason doesn't know, Pat, fill the people in on why Chris Harris Jr. might want to fuck up Harry Douglas if he sees him in the streets.
Come on, man. What the block that he did to me definitely could have been, very detrimental. You know what I'm saying? I could have been gone. Oh, knee could have been done. So I've seen him since then. I think I had to do an ESPN event. Doesn't he work for ESPN?
I don't know. Does he?
I swear I did an ESPN event and I had to see him. I've seen him there, and then it was all good. I apologize,
ESPN got a habit of hiring bum-ass wide receivers.
Wow.
I think he does work with ESPN. Y'all might have to check it. Have your fact check.
He scored three career touchdowns, and we give a shit about his analysis. Give me a break.
I think he played. How many years did he have? He was all right.
Atlanta.
He was all right. He was a guy that was, a positional guy. He would do the dirty work. You got to have some of those guys on the team, that's going to block hard, play hard.
Chris, first of all, his name is Harry. Like, grow up, bro. What are you, a wizard? Like,
yeah, he does
like act like an adult, ESPN. Okay? Second of all, the only contribution that he could have had for his team was taking out the Denver Broncos' best defensive player, and he didn't even do that right. Like, what did Harry Douglas do right in his career? And he didn't see Akeem.
And then Talib,
I feel like Akeem would have fought him well before you, because you're pretty tame, Chris. But I know if Talib saw him, he would have swung on him.
Oh yeah, I didn't. Talib and him already had some prior beef before that, so they already had some issues, so.
He went right up to him on the sideline. Yeah. He wasn't playing
for some reason, it happens like that. Crabtree, we had some former, issues. We play Crabtree all through college.
When he was yanking this?
Yeah, so, that's a long beef. People don't understand, and probably he played him in high school,
Hey, you got to talk about that on the No Fly Zone cast. You got to talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
You got to bring this stuff up, right? I want to go back real quick, Chris. And if you want to talk about it, awesome. If not, I understand. But you mentioned AJ Bouye, correct?
Yes, sir.
What do you want to share? What do you want to share, Chris?
Oh man,
it was just kind of hard. Me and him had the same agent, so it was just kind of hard at that time. It was kind of shaky, But that's all I'm gonna say right there. I'm just keep it like that, It seemed like a lot of some things is moving behind my back, But it's all good though, and salute him on his career and and whatever he has going on in his life or in my old past agent. But it was some snakery going on. That's all I'm.
Hate them snakes. Chris, obviously we have our show Believe in the Broncos on the Believe Network. It's a great show.
Yes, sir.
Tune into that. What else have you been up to after football? Yeah. Because we know you got the show, but I don't think a lot of people understand that you're still very active with the community in Denver, the community down in Texas where you're at, and then even up in Oklahoma. What else have you been doing off the field since you retired?
Oh yeah, man. Like we still do a lot of community work in Denver, providing foods and stuff for schools down there. We got a new list of what we're gonna have to tackle this year, but it's mainly, the metro, pretty much Cherry Creek, all through that area, all the way down to, Aurora, that whole area, But now I've been working with a lot of kids, working with some kids in Oklahoma, working with a lot of kids out here. And just helping them, a lot of these kids are gonna be professionals in 3 years, right? And as soon as they graduate high school, they're professional going into college, right? So it's trying to get these kids mindsets right. Try to teach them the game of this is the type of training, this is the type of things that you have to do, fundamentals, things like that. And I got some blue chippers, man. That's gonna be coming out pretty soon, man. And they go and handle their business, man. I'm definitely I got a couple players I'm gonna have on my team where I'm gonna be mentoring, counseling and training. So pretty much give them the whole package with that. And it's starting out fun, man. I got a lot of kids, a couple kids that I want. I had a lot of kids of interest that wants to be a part of it, but it's not something that I've put out there, right? It's kind of like, me just finding the right kids and family and pretty much going directly to them. So it's been working out great. I do want to coach, but I don't have time to coach. I wish I could coach.
Not with them 5 girls.
And really be out there and scheme some stuff, because I feel like I got some stuff I want to scheme against Andy Reid one day. I would love to do that one day. That's one of my goals for sure.
Let me ask you this, Chris. If you were to get into coaching and let's say you're with this Broncos secondary, basically you don't have to worry about Patrick Surtain. He kind of coaches himself, does his own thing. With these other guys, it's kind of we thought it was a 3-horse race for cornerback 2. Now it's seeming like the rookie Chris Abrams-Drain played really well in the first preseason game. Now it might be a 4-horse race. If you're the DB coach, you're the cornerback coach on this team right now, and you have to report to Sean Payton and tell him, look, this is what I'm saying. This is who needs to start. This is what we need to do. Who are you putting on the other side of Patrick Surtain right now between Levi Wallace, Riley Moss, Damari Mathis, and Chris Abrams-Drain?
I'm going to go with the vet right now. I'm going to go with Levi Wallace just because he has the experience, and he's had a good camp until his injury, right? That's one thing everybody's saying. He's had a good camp. And he's been playing well. So I definitely want him to get a shot at it first. I like what I've seen from Riley Moss. He plays solid. I want to see if he can play the slot safety. I want to see him all over the field. Let's see if he's versatile, right? I don't want to – once you get plugged in as just a second or a special teams guy, it's hard to get that off of you, right? David Bruton is a perfect example. He's a guy that could cover tight ends all day, right? But he always had that special team stigma on him, and he couldn't get it off of him. So this is a crucial time for Riley to really make plays and get in the game, right? So, but we see J-Mac has been at the nickel. He plays solid. So those will be my 3 right there. I'm going with Levi, J-Mac, Pat Surtain to start the season. And it's competition all year long, right? Yeah. In the NFL, unless you're getting paid and they telling you you're the full starter, right? You got to compete every game, right? It's competition every week so you can stay out there on the field. So that's what we're going to see. We're going to see, hey, can you keep up, Levi? Are you worthy to be out here every week? If you can't do it, then, hey, we'll get Moss a try, and hopefully one of those guys are able to stick and we're able to have a consistent secondary because Pat needs that, right? He needs guys that he's going to know who he's going to be there with, who he's going to be communicating with. His is kind of different than when me and Talib was there. We had competition, right? Champ had we was there competing with Champ, right? Champ was still the GOAT, but we competing with you, Champ. You know what I mean? You still got
to push him.
Yeah, you still had Tony Carter. We had Cassius Bond. We had depth that can all compete and can play, right? So even the next year, my second year, we had Drayton Florence. Tracy Porter, with me and Champ. Like, that's competition. Even in the next year with DRC.
Iron.
Yeah, DRC, K Webb, me, Champ. That's you still have competition, right? That can push the top guy or whoever you say is the top guy. You got guys that can push them, right? And that's what made us good. And that's what we need, right? We need that competition. That Pat needs that. He needs competition that can push him for him to be better. Does that make sense, everybody?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, I was just I was peeking at, the defensive stats for Denver Broncos history. And obviously Steve Foley is the other safety. I mean, it leads the team in interceptions. But I noticed you're 4 interceptions behind Steve Atwater. So I think you need to come back to get into that top 10. Just to beat Steve. But this is crazy. This is a crazy stat about you. You are second in team history in pass breakups. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Champ is the only one who's above you at 122. You have 86.
That's good company, Chris.
Justin Simmons is third with 64. That's how great you were. Truly. That is amazing production. Like, to have 20 interceptions and then 80 plus PBUs in that stretch of your career, absolutely insane.
Yes,
Chris,
sir.
we got a question. Do you like being compared to other cornerbacks around the league? And I like this question because, speaking of Chris Abrams-Drain, when Pat and I were breaking down their draft class, and we're going through, and it's like, comps are kind of arbitrary, right? We're saddling these kids who have never played a down in the NFL with a pro comp, and it's usually a really, really good player that you're comping them to. But what Pat and I had said was that we saw a lot of similarities in your game, like between you and Chris Abrams-Drain, similar build, similar size, but similar explosiveness. Like, you both played bigger than your frames. You were really sticky cover corners, really smart. So with that being said, do you like it when people compare you? Like, if there's a young up and coming guy and they're like, oh, he might be the next Chris Harris Jr. He might be the next Chris Harris Jr. Are you more like, man, there's one strap. There's one strap. There might be a 2.0 and 3.0, but there's only one you. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's okay to be compared because, I mean, people, the prime comp is always Dion, right? They're always looking for the next Dion or the next champ, right? Yeah. And it's hard to have those comps, right? Every player is different. I think everybody's movement is different, right? And my closest comp, I would say, is the guy from KC.
McDuffie?
McDuffie. Yeah.
I like McDuffie.
I would say probably the only thing difference is probably me on the run game and on the screens, right? Because I completely took away the screen game. Other than that, I don't know about his ball skills yet because I don't know how many picks he had. But I would say that would probably be a good guy that's, how to kind of moves how I move coverage wise. And that he's a guy that I love. I love his game. That could probably be a more comparable guy to me.
The fact that you're saying the closest comp to you in the NFL right now is a Kansas City Chief is making me absolutely sick to my stomach. No,
Chris is objective.
I don't care.
Chris is objective, and that's why
I'm not disagreeing with it. I just don't like it.
Deal with it.
It's a lot of things we don't like, but it's some things are true.
We are live with a guy who played for the Los Angeles Chargers. What are we talking about?
Yeah, but
hey, Chris, real quick. Justin Simmons.
Both of their fans probably loved Chris when he was there.
Yeah,
they loved me when I was there.
They did. Justin Simmons just visited with the New Orleans Saints and just visited with the Atlanta Falcons. We know that he's been rumored to a couple of other teams, Indianapolis being one of those teams. I think Dallas and then Houston as well. Of those teams that we've seen him visit these last couple of weeks, Atlanta and New Orleans. Which one do you think would be a better fit for Justin?
Yeah.
And do you think that Justin Simmons should just come back to the Denver Broncos?
I think Denver needs him for sure. I think he would be. I think with the way that Bo looked, I would be pretty excited, right? I hopefully we haven't made our season picks yet, but I'm gonna add a couple more picks on there. You know, I think they might be able to sneak up on a lot of teams and surprise a lot of teams this year with the way he looked and the way the offense looked and the way Coach Payton looked like he had happy with that scheme. Right? It looked like he's
like he actually has a quarterback that runs his scheme that
like,
wants to do.
But he's adding more stuff because he calls some plays that he never called before.
Yeah.
Right. So it's some new things that he could add to his, his resume of what, because when you're an older coach, people are like, oh, you're just set in your ways, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to want to evolve, right? But Andy Reid,
like how Pat Shurmur was a few years ago.
Right. Yeah. He never had an evolving offensive coordinator, really. We really had, even Kubiak was like by the book, like, stretch.
Chris, you would have been a better offensive coordinator than Pat Shurmur, okay?
I think I would, for sure. I'm going to scheme up some stuff because I know the defense. So I'm going to put you in the toughest type of stress that you can possibly be in on the offensive side. But like Andy Reid, he's evolved because he's added new wrinkles to the game, right? And I see that with Coach Payton, what he did just by one preseason game. I see that, okay, he's adding some new stuff to the offense. So I think Justin would fit well coming back. It's hard when you get cut like that to come back. But with the Saints or the Falcons, oh, man, it's tough because I like him going to the Falcons because him and Jesse Bates could be real nice.
I feel like they're a very similar player too.
Yeah.
But like Raheem Morris is going to make that work. But then Dennis Allen in New Orleans too.
Yeah, I like him with Dennis Allen too. I like him with Tyrann Mathieu too. Tyrann can play up more strong. Justin can play more free. You got corners there. That's one thing I'm gonna tell you there. Yeah. The Saints, they got three straight corners that are coming in their own that people are going to be talking about, right? They got three legit corners, right? And I don't say about a lot of DBs.
Because they learned from Strap Harris, right?
I gave him some tips for sure, but they were already nice even before
you took him to the next level. So it's Lattimore, Alontae Taylor, and who's the third guy I can't think of, Chris?
Debo.
That's right, yeah. Also Debo, yeah.
Yeah, so I love those three. With Justin and Tyrann, they could be nasty. So it's really on where he wants to go, what's the right fit. I think the Saints, man, if I'm him, that's like the perfect place to go retire if I'm Justin.
I mean, you would know.
I don't think he's at that point yet, though. Because I'll tell you this, Chris, and it's like, thankfully, you never had to really experience this in your career. Like, for the entirety of Justin's career, hasn't been to the playoffs, has barely even, like, really sniffed them, right? So that was the one thing that he had told me is, like, I really, really want to go play for a contender. Now, it has to be within the parameters of he's getting paid what he thinks is fair, like what his value is. And it seems like the predicament that he's in right now is that he's a premium player at a non-premium position. And then you had guys like Eddie Jackson, Jordan Poyer, they signed not great contracts. They brought the market down. And so what it seems like is these teams like that are interested in Justin, bringing him in, they want to have him at that Jordan Poyer, Eddie Jackson money. And they're saying, well, this is the market. And it seems to me like Justin, like the fact that he hasn't signed, that's telling me that Justin's saying, this is not I'm not the market. I'm not market value. I was an all-pro last year. So if Poyer and Jackson and these guys, if they're here and this is what you're paying them, theoretically, this is my value and this is what you need to pay me. And so there needs to be some sort of agreement. And so I know that's a big thing is that Justin just wants to win. He just wants to go to the playoffs, Chris. So, like, for you, like, you were on arguably some of the best, not just Broncos teams, but, like, overall football teams ever. Like, you can make a case that 2013 team before the injuries happened is one of, if not the best, greatest football teams of all time, right? So you never had to experience that. So, like, New Orleans was fine for you to go and retire because you got your bag, you made your nut, you won a ship, you were a Pro Bowl, All-Pro. You would accomplish everything that you needed to accomplish. So at this stage of his career, Justin just wants to go to the playoffs. So if you're asking me, I feel like in that division, I mean, that's a good division to go to because the winner of that division will be one game over 500, maybe two. So that was why I would think probably Falcons. Like if Kirk Cousins stays healthy, they're probably
I like him better than
that
Carr.
division.
Yeah. I think I like him a lot better than Carr.
It's tough. It's tough, man, with Justin, because he's had really a great career, but he came in a tricky situation.
Yeah.
Right. We just we did not bounce back of Peyton retiring. Right. Yeah. Until now. Right. We still don't know. We're still up for question mark. Right. We're hoping this is the guy that bounced back from. Think about it. It's August 13, 2024, Mario.
He doesn't set his feet when he throws in the pocket. He's cooked. He's done. One game and he's done.
Yeah.
He's not the guy.
Yeah, so man, if I'm him, if I'm Justin, he has a lot of tough choices. Those two choices are not great choices for him.
No. I think the Saints one is like the Saints one probably fits more and like would kind of
dramatically that would be better for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't like him and Jesse Bates are so similar as a player. Like, I don't really get that thought process by Atlanta. I could see Indy being the stop. Houston would be great, but they're stacked. And I mean, Dallas, like him with Mike Zimmer, maybe that'll work.
Nice pickup. Maybe that'll work. Like somebody that's a contender, how are they not calling? I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
That comment. Amazing. If he was premium, teams would be paying him premium. Not the case, though. That
was an ignorant ass thing to say. I deleted the comment because I didn't want, but you brought it up, and so now I'm pissed because that was an ignorant ass thing to say.
Well, it's you don't have to be pissed about it. It's just that's not how it works. Well, I mean, look at the running back position over the last how many years. That's how the safety position is being treated right now because teams just don't want to pay like. They don't feel like they have to. And even these premium players who there were premium players at that position who did change teams and took less money. That's
way less money.
The whole thing. Yeah. Justin is at the top of the crop when it comes to safety play. And teams just don't want to pay that amount. That doesn't say anything about who Justin is as a player. His stats and his play speak for itself.
Yeah. Justin is Gucci, and then the other guys is like the Gucci that you get off of DHgate. Like it's similar, but it's way cheaper, and people who understand notice a difference, and they know what the difference is. A casual not going to know the difference between Gucci and DHgate Gucci. Okay, the knockoff Gucci, but real ones that understand the game, they know the difference.
And it's different that like we're acting like Justin plays like he has to go out there and cover Jamar Chase. Like, bro, he's not a corner. He's not running with Tyreek Hill. You know what I mean?
There's maybe two dudes on the planet that can cover those guys.
Yeah, but like he's a safety.
Yeah.
Right? He's going to be covering tight ends. He can still cover these guys for the next 3 or 4 years with better than a lot of these guys that can cover them now. Right?
He's missed how many games?
He's probably missed 3 games in his whole career.
Literally, he's an Iron Man.
How many games has he missed? This kid's missed, Justin. He's probably missed 3 or 2 games.
Let's see.
It's only a handful, and the games that he did miss, Chris, they weren't like the nagging injuries and stuff like that. I know one of them was 2 years ago. The game that we were at, Pat, the Seattle game, he actually got cut by, I think it was Lockett, away from the play, like cut him under his knee. It was actually similar to like what Harry Douglas did to you, Chris. And Justin was like, it took me by surprise because we're on the opposite side of the field. And Lockett, who's a vet, he's like, I never would have expected it from that. And he's like, I thought it was just a bad bruise. And then shortly after that, they realized that his quad had almost torn completely off the bone. So they said, if this is how the muscle attaches, it was about like this. So we missed time for that, which, was kind of unavoidable. And then I think there was another similar injury, like a growing last year that he missed a handful of games. But, really, he was the Iron Man for the longest time, to the point where it didn't make sense how many games in a row he played.
Right.
He's missed 7 in the last 3 years.
Come on,
he's missed
man.
7 games in the last 3 years. Give me a break.
Yeah,
break.
Yeah, hopefully he has a good
4 straight years.
He needs to find a
since we're speaking of Justin, and Justin famously did not like Vic Fangio. He loved his scheme as a head coach. Justin famously not only called out Vic Fangio in a team meeting, Chris, I'm sure you heard about this, but like cussed his at, like dog cussed him. Like you would never expect someone like Justin Simmons to say the things that he said. So S. Castro wants to know, what did you think of Vic Fangio? Whether it be as a defensive play caller or as a head coach or both.
I mean, I respect the Fangio, man. He was definitely I learned a lot from him of how he coaches the run, how he coaches the big boys up front, and his style, technique. So he is an excellent coach when it comes to fundamentals, coaching football, X's and O's. Right? He's just not a good people person. Right? He's not he's not very social. Right. So if you don't like a coach that's not social, that's not like is going to be great with the media and things like that, Fangio's not your guy. But when it comes to X's and O's, I think he's great with that, man. I learned a lot from his schemes, things like that, and how he approaches it. Because I had Coach Wade, Wade and them, they call similar, but, they don't run the defense the same way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So just learning how you have similar calls, similar system, but he runs it in a different technique or we might have a different, coverage style on the way we match these things. So that was different. That was a good thing with Fangio. But I mean, I feel like Fangio just like he worked me like a dog, man. They knew it was my last year there. I mean, he had me chasing
everything out of you
every week. I mean. It would be like say if we're in cover 6 where the backside guy gets cover 2. He'll be like, hey, Chris, you don't get the cover 2. You got to go to the cover 4 side. So, like, I would always have the hard down with Fangio. So I think he did respect me in that. And they did tell me that. Ed Donatel and them did tell me they had tons of respect for what I had to do my last year because I did a lot of trying to, a lot of take the hard down while the other guy, can relax, even if it's like cover 4 or cover 2, and I would always go to the cover 4 side. So, but other than that, man, Fangio was cool, man. I had no issue with him. Jay was there with him longer, so they probably had some, riffraff, a little bit longer. But when my time with them, it was a great learning experience. But other than that, man, he worked me hard. Other than that,
I'm glad that you brought up Wade Phillips and kind of talked about how they were similar, because I've always thought that like Vic Fangio is basically like if Wade Phillips had Asperger's. Like that's what Vic Fangio is. So if anyone listening, you don't know what Asperger's is when like you're really like mentally not all there. Okay, you're a little bit awkward. Okay, you don't do well in social situations, and there's usually like one thing you're really, really smart about. The term used to be idiot savant, and then they realized that, that was an outdated term. You couldn't call someone an idiot. I'm just explaining what it is, okay? You excel in like one really specific thing. So it's like your IQ in general is like for a lot of stuff is low, but like with Vic Fangio, his IQ was extremely high, like off the charts for being a defensive coach. But then normal things like human interaction, he was really bad at. Well, like today we say maybe he was on the spectrum a little bit. So it'd be like if Wade Phillips had a personality disorder. That's Vic Fangio.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know who we had.
Chris isn't disagreeing either.
Who was our head coaching choices? I agree with you. The analogy was pretty long, but I agree with you. Who was the head coaching options that we had when we had a chance when we picked Fangio?
That's a good question.
I don't think a lot of Bronco fans remember Chris, because to be honest, they could have had Kyle Shanahan to win with Vance Joseph. And God
we could have had him a long time ago, and then it would have been done. Right.
But I'm saying, like, I think Bronco fans were so burned by that, and they were so, like, it still hurts. Like, glad we got Sean Payton, but damn, you see what Kyle Shanahan's done in San Francisco.
It was Munchak.
I'm still hung up on that.
It was Munchak. Munchak. Do you remember that? Munchak was interviewing for the head coaching job And then they hired Fangio, but then they hired Munchak as the O-line
Munchak
coach.
was
That
like
was
the O-line coach.
That was the big thing. He was the highest paid O-line coach in the league. That was
because he was basically like an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Like he needed somebody. That's why he brought in Pat Shurmur, because he wanted a good old boy. Fangio didn't want to worry about the offense. I don't know if this is how it was with you, Chris, because you were only there for a year, but all the guys that I talked to, and I work mostly with the defensive guys, they were like, yeah, he spends a ton of time with us. Offensive players, they barely saw him. So one of the reasons that he brought Pat Shurmur in, because who was the young OC that was there? I think it was Phil Lindsay's rookie year. Scangarello, right? Scangarello
was nice though. He was getting nice with it. I like Scangarello.
He ain't done shit since, so we can't really go.
He was getting nice with Drew Lock. That's all I got.
He had Drew Lock cooking a little bit, and he had Phil Lindsay really cooking that year. And he got released or he got fired because Vic Fangio, he wanted someone who could completely control the offense. So Vic Fangio wasn't really like a head coach. He was a glorified defensive coordinator, which sometimes works, but usually doesn't. And super isn't going to work when you bring in Pat Shurmur to be your offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, man.
There's a couple comments. O'Connell, Mike McDaniels. No, that was the Mike McDaniels was the year that they hired.
Wasn't that the Hackett cycle?
Hackett, yeah, that was the Hackett cycle.
Oh,
and they messed that one up bad. And then Shanahan was the Vance Joseph cycle.
The first Vance Joseph, because we had Coach Kubiak quit. That's when we should have known it was a writing on the wall right there.
Yeah,
that was the beginning of the end, Chris.
I'm just thinking back in my head, like
Kubiak
knew something that we didn't know,
Kubiak saw one season of Trevor Simeon and was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
Done.
I'm done.
He got out of there. He's like,
wait.
Yeah, I'm out of there.
No, Pat, it wasn't Trevor Simeon. It was Paxton Lynch. Okay.
Yeah, but Trevor started that year.
Did Kubiak have Paxton?
That was that was his rookie year.
So Chris, Paxton's rookie year. It was the year that won the Super Bowl, and you finished 9-7. The last game of that season, you guys were playing the Raiders at home. Meaningless game. Like, I don't like to use that term, but it's like at that point, neither team is going to the playoffs because they're both eliminated at that time. And so everybody in Broncos country, it's like, well, obviously they're going to play Paxton Lynch. They traded up for him. He's a rookie first-round quarterback. We have to figure out what we got in him. And this, you want to talk about writing on the wall, Chris? This should have been the ultimate writing on the wall. That in a meaningless, again, don't like that term, but meaningless game where the result doesn't matter. Kubiak didn't even play him one series. He kept Trevor Simeon in the entire game.
Cold. That man was cold-hearted.
Paxton, man, it's hard to judge because the kid definitely had talent.
He had the physicals.
The offense didn't fit what he needed to be in the offense like today's, the spread. We wasn't doing that with Paxton. We didn't. I can't say that he was completely a bust because we didn't just. I don't believe it. I don't believe he was completely a bust. I'm not gonna say it because
I actually agree with this. I think that because the argument is always we should have taken Josh Allen, but why did Josh Allen succeed in Buffalo? Josh Allen argued he was not
because Brian Daboll turned him into.
He was not good. Was not good. Yeah. His last year at Wyoming
he was awful in Wyoming.
God awful, and then gets to Buffalo and still struggles. Doesn't look very good, but the physicals are all there. But he had a good coaching staff around him that helped develop him, and when Daboll left, we kind of saw things start to creep down a little bit. The decision-making started going out the window and we started relying more on the physical aspects of it. But that's the difference. If we would have drafted Josh Allen that year, who knows what would have happened? He probably would have been run out of the league because the organization did not do enough to get a good coaching staff in the building. And we literally know that for a fact. Joe Ellis and John Elway messed up those coach searches. You don't hire Shanahan because you have some personal beef. What kind of, like, he's the best guy for the job. Right. What are we talking about? So right. I agree with you, Chris. Like, if the coaching situation was different, maybe you have a different Paxton Lynch.
I'm telling you, man, the kid had talent, and he can throw it all over the field. He can run. So when you got just that right there, right? Let's say we have a plan for this guy. Hey, Paxton, you're gonna come in. We know we want to sit you like a Jordan Love 2-3 years.
Absolutely.
Like that. Let you learn and let you understand. Let's teach you how to be a professional, because you come from Memphis. You was probably always the man there, right? We didn't really train you. We didn't give you Peyton Manning to teach you how to be a quarterback, right? We gave you Trevor Simeon, a guy that was his backup, right? Yeah. So I try to look at it as like Paxton really get a fair shake. That's how I believe it. That's how I believe it. You know, that's how I examine it. And if we give him if we got to put him in the right situation, right? Take our time with this guy. Let's build him up. Let's teach him the game, because he had all the physical tools, right? I don't know about him in the boardroom, in the classroom, what we call it, right on the board. I don't know all that, the X's and those things right there. I'm just going off the physical appearance.
Look at the offense that he came from at Memphis. Like that offense is it's very similar to how Tennessee's offense is. It's spread zone run, but it's an if then offense. If this happens, then you do this. That's it. Like it's 1 to 2 reads. That is way less complex than any NFL offensive scheme that is out there. And I think that's a really hard thing for a guy who, you know, you're a first round pick, you've got all this pressure, you're having to come in and you're getting thrown into a system that you literally cannot comprehend.
And your head coach don't really give a damn, because he like, I'm out the door anyway. You ain't got no RP, right? You about to get a whole new coach.
He needs to give. Don't you think that he needs to give a damn, Chris? I mean, I know, like, I don't know how much experience that you have with Paxton, but all the guys that I talked to that were on the offense, they were like, he's the last one in the door and he's the first one out the door. Okay,
man, so you can't go by what people say every time.
Chris, you're right. Physically, he had everything that you could want. So did Jamarcus Russell. Okay, it doesn't matter if you don't have it between the ears. No, Jamarcus Russell was a much better quarterback than Paxton Lynch. Don't make that seem like that's such a mean comp, okay? I'm pretty sure Jamarcus Russell won 3 times as many games as Paxton Lynch. Oh, and by the way, Paxton Lynch is the only football player in the history of football to be cut by the NFL, the CFL, the XFL, the UFL, and the USFL.
He didn't make it in any league. That's what we have against our argument. Our argument is that he didn't make it in any league. So that's our argument.
Paxton Lynch is like a boob that's not lactating, okay? He's fun to look at, okay? It seems like it would be enjoyable, but at the end of the day, it doesn't serve a purpose.
I don't love this. I don't love that comparison.
Do you have anything to say about the situation that he was brought in?
Yeah, Doc.
Like, okay. It was not a great situation, but let's not act like if he was in a better
Lock
situation,
should have gotten more chances.
He did not have the work ethic to actually be a good, in my opinion. Okay, and I'm going to tell you this story too, Chris. Okay, because you know Paxton used to
give me an honest answer right here.
Let me tell you. Okay. When Paxton used to come into the office, I'm going to tell you a story of something that my dad told me, okay? It was like the first or second time that Paxton ever came in, and he calls me over. You know, my dad knew a little bit, but he didn't know like all the, you know, the intimate ins and outs. Like, he didn't do scouting. Paxton had never played a game, and he was like, what can you tell me about him as a quarterback? You know, and at the time, I'm excited, right? I'm like, man, like, you can see he's big, got a big arm, like he can run. He ran the spread offense, like, good athlete. And so I'm listening to all these things that were the reason he was a first-round draft pick. And he goes, I'm going to be honest. I don't know how anybody spends 5 minutes talking to that kid and thinks that's a first-round draft pick. That's what my dad said, Chris.
Well, That's some bad scouting. That had to be some bad scouting on that. Then if he didn't have it mentally, right? Because that's the main thing you're studying, really. Like, we're testing you mentally if you can play in the league.
Chris, let me ask you this though, because that was the Dak Prescott draft. If Dak, because we know for a fact that John Elway really, really liked Dak. We know that they were interested, and we know that they would have taken him at some point. How different is that Broncos team, post Super Bowl 50 with Dak Prescott at the helm than
I like that question.
Paxton Lynch? And like same situation, same scenario, same coaching staff, all that stuff. Is this a better team with Dak Prescott rather than Paxton Lynch? Because I think so.
Oh yeah, way better. Of course. I mean, only thing is the offensive system still didn't work for Dak, right? The system, Peyton hated it, right? He didn't really like
we knew that.
You know what I mean? So a quarterback coming from the SEC spread, doing all that, game wide open, you're doing RPOs, things like, you're gonna hate that type of offense coming in, right? Unless you're a Brock Purdy, he just fits perfectly, but you're gonna hate that. And so I think Dak would definitely been way better. Playing the SEC, played better competition. He's definitely more ready than Paxton. So of course, man, we made some tough decisions, a lot of them, and hopefully this year we can make the right decisions with the younger guys. I think we have so far.
So we've already talked about a guy that's a boob. Okay, let's talk about someone who's not. Who not only is he pretty to look at, Chris, but he seems like he serves some sort of purpose. He seems like he's actually functional, and that is current Denver Broncos rookie quarterback Bo Nix.
Jarrett Stidham.
Now, if you could have a comparison between two quarterbacks that could not be more different from each other in terms of their mental acumen, I think it's Bo Nix and Paxton Lynch from a rookie standpoint. So you were around the league for a long time. You played with the greatest quarterback in the history of the game. Don't at me because it's Peyton Manning. You were around quarterbacks that were not as good as Peyton Manning. You've seen kind of what it takes to be a star in this league from a quarterback perspective. And I know it's a very, very, very small sample size, but from what you've seen out of Bo Nix, either through practice, the first preseason game, tell us from your perspective, like, how it's going with Bo Nix. Like, how do you see this progressing? You like what you see so far? What do you need to see? What does he need to get better at? Give us your Bo Nix breakdown.
Well, me, I analyze it from looking at everything, right? I'm looking at when Bo's in at quarterback, what is the sideline doing? And everybody's like this, like they're like zoned in. Everybody's up to the line. We got people cheering, you know what I mean? They're like, everybody's locked in, right? So I'm looking at that. Then I'm looking at the interviews. Oh, and you haven't heard anything negative about the guy, right? They're explaining how he wants to be great, like how he's galvanizing the team, the locker room, right? And as a quarterback, I think if you're a quarterback, right, the first thing that you need to do is have everybody, if you can get everybody in that 53-man roster to believe in you, right? Can we believe we're going to roll with you, right? Just having that belief right there, that team right there has a chance to win every game, right? As long as we can believe in this guy, he's bringing that energy. We know he's working every week, and he's trying to put us in positions to win. Guys are going to go fight for him. So I love what I'm seeing from the interviews. I'm loving from what I'm seeing from the sideline, all the interactions. The O-line, I've seen too many times the O-line just let Russell Wilson just lay on the ground, he's dead. Nobody picked him up. Nobody. Nobody even cared. I mean, it didn't happen just one time. It happened a lot.
You get to run your ass into a sack and then ask the offensive line to pick you up, Chris.
I mean, hey, every team you've seen quarterback, you still see their guys picking up their quarterback, right? Yeah. I didn't see that from Russell Wilson, though. Y'all got to be real on that. That happened last year. So I'm liking the belief.
It's because he ran himself into sacks. If the offensive line gave up the sack, Chris, then they're helping him up. They're like, damn, I got beat, bro. That's on me, Russ. But when he's running around like a chicken with his head cut off back there, and he runs his ass into a sack, they're a little bit less willing to pick him up. Like when you were playing, I'm going to try to think of the best analogy that I can. But like, let's say, like from a fan's perspective, it looks like you get beat for a touchdown, but it's actually not your assignment. Like you're in the vicinity. It was somebody else. Okay. And they just got cooked, but it looked like it was you. Are you going over to them and be like, hey, buddy, that's okay. Get it next time. Or you're like, figure your shit out, bro. Like you made me look bad.
It's different though, because that's the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And
that's the face of the team.
He's the guy that is the face of the team. He's the guy that y'all opened up a new y'all gave that man a new office, right? Y'all let him bring his own trainer and stuff. Y'all did this for him. So, right, if he's getting blocked or if he's getting sacked, you need to pick him up, right? Y'all, that's your job.
Maybe he should have had fewer bathrooms and more bedrooms in his house because the ratio was fucking weird.
Yeah, man. Hey, but
I like to poop.
You know it's bad when Bowles don't even pick you up.
Man loves
Bowles wasn't picking you up. I know it's something bad going on. So,
exactly.
Yeah, I know something's bad if Bowles don't pick you up. Because Bowles, hey, man, he came from. There's two people I know that came from the mud, like, you know, really, really got it out the mud. Like Gary Bowles and Derek Wolfe, right? Those guys had tough lives and they made it and they overcome. So if he don't pick up Russell Wilson,
that tells you something. Chris, someone just asked how you like being around Tebow. I think that's a great question. We've never talked about Tebow on our show.
On, I got a phone call. Hold on. Let me cancel that real quick.
You good.
Ask it again.
How did you like being around Tim Tebow? We've never talked about that. So this is actually
I don't
great.
think we ever talked about that.
No.
Man, with Tebow, you know, I was mad my rookie year with Tebow. If I get a pick, bro, you gotta give me the shout out, man. I'm undrafted, I'm rookie, man. Give me the shout out, man. He said, I got you. You win the game, you get a pick for me. You know, we're gonna get the shout out. Man, we play the Raiders. I got the pick. Where's my shout out, man? So I'm still waiting on that. I'm still waiting on my retweet, Tebow. But other than that, man,
you heard it here first. Tim Tebow is a scumbag and didn't give Chris Harris his due.
Come on, Tebow, man.
Not Chris.
He probably don't remember it anymore, but you know,
not Chris.
That's my only fault with Tebow.
13 years ago. I love that shit.
Bro, the knee. Think how many followers he had. Bro, he had the T-bone when he had it going down like this, the meme. He was the beginning of the memes. But
You're funny as hell.
Really start going viral. The T-bone meme.
Y'all,
you know who else left you hanging, Chris? Is there anybody else that you
man, other than that, man. Hey, everybody else kept their words, man. I can think of, man. But yeah, Tebow, Champ was the greatest vet that you can think of, man, for sure. Him and B Doc, bring me over. Doc's wife cooking it up, you know. Champ, same thing, cooking it up, man. They was the best vets, man, you know, especially for a rookie, you know, just to be around, man. They always were welcoming. You know, Doc, he told me the game early with, you know, coming to Dr. V, going over there messing with y'all, getting how to get the body right, you know. So I always show those guys love, you know. Those guys were definitely I had some great vets, man, for sure.
Yeah, you did.
Was DJ around? Left you hanging for a decade and a half.
Who?
Hate to see it.
DJ Williams. Was he around here?
DJ Williams too. Yeah. Wesley Woodyard.
Ian Gold.
Man, I had great, you know, great vets, great guys that were. It was a different. You can tell, Mario, it was a different time. You know, we had a different team. When I first got to Denver, it was nothing but dogs. And I used to, when I came in, I was like, it's nothing but dogs. What is it? Junkyard Bulldogs in this locker room.
Honestly, Chris, it really things started to change after like Kubiak and Wade left, right? For that whole stretch, like the personnel was crazy. The personnel was absolutely crazy because it just seemed like every year there was somebody new.
Yeah. If you wasn't a gangster, a dog, like mentality. Like you wasn't on the Broncos then at that time when I first got there. Bro, we had like 10 D linemen.
That's why Talib was the best fit. That's why Talib was the best free agent signing.
Yeah, we had like 8 of those guys up front, right? Straight dogs. That was just, you know, you couldn't really talk to them. Like they was straight big nasty dogs. You know, linebackers would come kill you with Wesley Woodyard, DJ Williams, Vaughn. What was that? What was the other linebacker?
Joe Mays.
Joe Mays. Joe Mays.
Joe
Mays about killed a guy on the field.
Matt Schaub. It was Matt Schaub, Chris, because Joe Mays was mostly like a special teamer. He got running with the linebackers every once in a while. And I remember I think that might have been Peyton Manning's first year here. And that was when the Texans were really good. Like that was the Andre Johnson, Arian Foster team. And I remember Joe Mays came in through a blitz. And Joe Mays, like middle linebackers are big. Joe Mays was like big. Like he was short for a middle linebacker, but he was fucking stout and rocked up. And this dude blitzed right up the middle, completely untouched. He got Matt Schaub right under the face mask. He threw it and he like put his head in it. And I think Matt Schaub was like bleeding all from his chin. Joe Mays might have gotten ejected for that hit, Chris. Yeah. I know he was fined and I know he was penalized. And I'm trying to remember if anyone in the chat, but like
fine, he got kicked off the team or he was at home for a couple weeks. But man, I think that's why I came in, was able to fit in great with those guys. You know, they had the mentality that I played with. They all had that, but they was more. So you know, I was still wide open as a rookie. But man, I think that's why they embraced me so much. You know, I had a lot of the older guys embrace me just because I played with that same mentality. You know what they had, and man, it was so fun, man. You know, playing with those guys. Those guys are crazy on the road. As being a young guy, just imagine seeing Champ Dog, Bunkley, Vickerson.
Yep. You know, it's crazy that all those dudes were on the same team, Chris.
Think about this. Doomerville used to bark at the dudes on the field, like out there barking. And I'm like, man, okay, I'm out here with some real like killers. Like these brothers they not playing no games, you know. And it just slowly started to change, you know.
What did the late great Patrice O'Neal say? You let your son out here with killers.
Yeah, man, that's how it was, man. And we got Super Bowl 15. We was able to bring some more killers, you know, continue to add on that. But after that, you know, it kind of that mentality, that structure of dogs that we had was starting a little fade away, you know. But that was the mentality that I had came as being a Bronco. That was what I came under. I came under, you know, real hitters, you know. So it was just
the last great wave of just absolute ballers. Brian
Chris,
Dawkins mixtape lives forever.
Let me ask you this, Chris. Of all the teammates that we're talking about, and you were with Denver for a long time. You played with a lot of great players. Who was the craziest, like the most unhinged dude where you were like, you know what? If it wasn't for football, you might actually end somebody's life. Did you ever play with anyone like that? Like who had the biggest screw loose?
Definitely Young Wolf.
Yeah.
Wolf, man.
I was just gonna
Wolf
say
was crazy in the first couple of years, man. And you know, he had to go through his little growing, you know, his growing as a man, growing up to a man, and you know, became who he is today, man. But early Wolf was crazy, man. We had to tame him. Early Danny Trevathan was crazy. You know, and Danny Trey. Look, just think about the dogs I'm naming. You know, Danny Trey was a guy that nobody speaks about, but was a dog. You know, every year I play with him, I can count on Danny Trey. He's gonna shut down the middle, right? He's gonna come hit, right? So Danny Trey was out there. You know, he had to grow up into you know who he is now. You know, he was just a guy that you Tasmanian devil out there on the field, you know. And I remember Danny Trey. I'll never forget this. They put Danny Trey on Jimmy Graham, and he locked him down as a rookie.
Yeah, I remember
linebacker, right? I don't think people remember this stuff. Like So he just had that mentality.
And he was like a 5th or 6th round pick too. Like he wasn't a premium draft pick. Like he was a late pick out of Kentucky. I think.
Yeah, he was a late pick, man, but he just fit the mentality of what our personalities just fit perfect, you know.
I think, Chris, you need to be brought in as a DB coach or a defensive coordinator or like a consultant just to bring that attitude back to the Broncos. So real quick, we'll wrap with this, and I'm going to get both of your guys' opinion on this, and Chris, we'll start with you. Just give me like a brief prediction for this upcoming Broncos season.
I'm going to say we win 8 games. I think we win 8 to 9 games. It's a tough year. They got a tough schedule. Right. So, but I think with Bo, I think we can get 8 to 9 games. I don't want to see. I think they're a better team, just because Coach Sean Payton is probably a better coach this year, I believe. So I would go more in that direction. And I think we have a better quarterback that fits what he wants at this time period. So I'll give him 9 to 8 wins, and that can be second place in division too. Right? You never know it. I think a lot of teams in the AFC North are going to get beat up. You know, my issue with Denver is that we got to protect the home field. Right? That was always like our staple, our mentality is that like you're not pulling up to the Mile High and winning games. And I think
almost never lost at home.
Yeah, I think that they have to get that mentality back that, hey, we got to protect the Mile High. That's automatic. You know, how many games they play at home this year? 6 games. Right? I don't know how many games they play at home. 8. So you know, man, you gotta protect. You gotta win 6 out of those 8 right there. You know, so protect home. And if y'all do that, I think the season will handle itself. But we gotta stop letting these teams come in a Mile High and think it's just a breeze. You know, we got to change.
It ain't sweet out here.
Yeah, we got to change.
Mile High. Altitude sickness is real.
Yeah, we gotta let them know, man.
Let them know.
Out there on that mask. You know, they tired versus us. So you got to really, we got to bring that mentality back. You know, we want to see them over there on that mask.
I know Malcolm Roach is about to be having running backs.
Guys like him. Like we had like a whole bunch of Roaches. Like this mentality. You know what I mean? They just got to bring that back, right? They got to get those that mentality back, and I think they're slowly doing that though. But that's what it's going to take.
Absolutely.
Pat, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with Chris. You know, we said this in our schedule breakdown episode of Believe in the Broncos. Like, I think 8 to 9 wins is kind of where we see this team being. And it's not to knock the team as a whole, but it's the schedule is rough, man. This is a tough schedule.
Brutal, yeah.
They've got some really, really tough games. So it's really just going to be about, you know, how this offense comes out in the regular season. If it's anything like we saw in the preseason game, who knows? I think that this is maybe we bump that by 1 to 2 games, but I think realistically 8 to 9 is kind of where we're sitting at. You know, like there's going to be a lot of close games. That's just going to be the way it is. I think they lost a number of games last year by 1 score. So, you know, if you can turn those games into wins, which I think with a better offense you can. Yeah, 8 to 9 games is pretty realistic. Definitely not 5. Definitely not 5. But
you know, definitely hammer the over. I've seen a lot of if you're betting people, I'm not myself, but it's like if the over under is 4.5 wins, I think you're hammering the over all day, every day. More importantly than wins, though, because it's like I think we can all agree they're not quite a contender yet. They've got some pieces. It seemed like they had a really good draft class, but they're still really hamstrung by that Russell Wilson contract. It's still going to be on the books next year, but they're going to have a lot more freedom. But there are pieces. There are definite pieces on this team that you can build around, like dogs that you want on your team that are championship caliber players. So I think what we want to see as Bronco fans, and Pat, we've talked about this ad nauseum. I'm just going to keep saying it. The most important thing that you want to see this year as a Denver Broncos fan is you want to see progression from Bo Nix. You want Bo Nix to be the guy where, like, you know, he's your franchise quarterback. The Denver Broncos have never drafted themselves a franchise quarterback. They traded for John Elway, traded for Peyton Manning. You know, you could make an argument that Jay Cutler was the best quarterback that the Denver Broncos ever drafted. So for once in your franchise, you need to have a franchise quarterback who's going to be here 10, 12, 15 years. And that is why that is the most important aspect of this season. Does Bo Nix look like a pro caliber quarterback? Does he look like he has the potential to be a top 10 guy in this league? Does he look like he can hang with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson? Because the AFC is an absolute gauntlet of superstar quarterbacks. So as long as you see that progression, and as long as you see Bo like getting better and better each week, understanding the offense, understanding his reads and his checks and the concepts, and he has control of the offense, and he looks calm and poised, which is probably the most important thing that we noticed. Like, he seemed very calm for his first ever NFL game. As long as that happens, I will be happy. They end up winning 5, 6, 7 games, but you see that Bo Nix is the guy. That's a W for the season.
Agreed.
Yep, I agree. We need to have some security at the quarterback position, confidence in him moving forward. And let's see what it's going to be interesting to see how we're going to move forward on the running back position, the receiver position. It's a lot of talent in those positions. So it's going to be interesting to see who makes the 53 right there, man. It's good position battles.
Yeah, for sure. Anything before we get you guys out of here? Chris, thank you so much for joining us, man. It's great to see your smiling face, bro. I miss coming into the office every, twice a week and seeing you, man. So next time you're in town, hopefully we
I'll be there
can link up.
Man. I'll let y'all know when I'm coming down. Shout out to the fans, everybody on the chat. I can't see the questions or anything unless they put them up on the screen, but maybe I can answer a question. They got one more question?
What was your reaction? What was your reaction when Talib yanked Crabtree's chain?
Oh man, it was definitely, we all laughed, but it was kind of planned, we was like, man, if they come out, it was a mentality that we had. Like, you're not just gonna come out. The Raiders, y'all not coming out here wearing chains on our field, like swagging up. Like when we play y'all in the black hole, y'all can have y'all chains, and we're gonna come over there and dog y'all anyways. That was our mentality, right? So our mentality was, y'all not coming over here flashing, rocking y'all chains, doing what y'all want to do, being the Raiders. That's not happening over here. So Talib just let them know off the top, man. That's part of protecting the house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That was really the mentality. It wasn't about the chain. It was about, like, y'all not coming up here flossing and shining on us like y'all think y'all are in the Mile High. That was the mentality of it.
Love it.
I love that. Make sure that you catch Chris and Pat on Believe in the Broncos. They record once a week. Easily my second favorite podcast that involves Patrick Chiotti and also discusses the Denver Broncos.
We got a big guest.
Just like my second favorite podcast, just in general. But it's actually, it's 1A. It's 1A and 1B.
Thank you, Chris. Okay. Thank you for actually plugging the show. We have Jake freaking Plummer coming on the show tomorrow.
Oh, that's amazing.
Jake Plummer. It's going to be awesome. He's excited. He's excited to talk to you, Chris.
Man, I'm excited, that right now, because I've talked to Jake a couple times, man, and he was always a guy that was always rooted for me, always sent me messages. Hey, I love the way you're playing and things like that. So he was always great, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing Jake, man. He's involved in everything, He's touched everything. So it's going to be a great conversation for sure.
Can't wait.
Get ready to microdose on mushrooms, fellas.
Oh, no. Hey, Pat's in Oregon, man. Everything's legal in Oregon. Don't move to Oregon.
Hey,
I'm pretty sure he's in Idaho, isn't he?
Don't hate the player. I'm in Oregon, dog. I'm in Portland, bro.
Hey, my name is Mario, okay? I do not need to be convinced that mushrooms are a good thing. I'm Mario Vitanzi. That's Patrick Chiotti, the legendary Chris Strap Harris, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to everybody Chris. In the chat, everybody watching. Pat and I will be back next week with a surprise special guest. We love y'all. Bye-bye.
Hey, feel I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup.